I don't think there's a one size fits all when it comes to white labeling. I think you have to understand what's most important to you and what's going to help you scale.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the HighLevel Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm joined by Michael and Brittany from 51Blocks, which is a seven-figure agency, but also a suite of white label marketing services. They've worked with hundreds of agencies so far, and we thought we'd bring them on to talk about how white labeled services can help you retain clients for longer. So, Michael and Brittany, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Chase. Appreciate it. Today I think we're just going to quickly talk about how to find your ideal white label partner, and that process is what it kind of looks like. If that is acceptable by Chase, and move forward through that solution.
Before we jump in, let me just preface this a little bit. So, as some people in the community have probably heard us talk about before, we really want to bring in more white labeled service providers into our community. We provide white label services internally, but we want to open it up to other providers as well. So we want to get companies like 51Blocks in front of the community to get them thinking. Why? Because we know, as you probably heard us talk about during the Level Up Day, when we did internal reports and we went back across the thousands of customers that we have at HighLevel, we saw some patterns. And the biggest thing that we saw separate agencies that are doing really well versus agencies that are struggling with churn is that the agencies that do really well provide more than one service. And the ones that are struggling are just focused on lead generation. So that, I think, lit a lot of light bulbs. But then the question comes, well, what if, lead generation is the only thing that I know how to do? Like, it sounds great to provide SEO or AdWords or whatever other services are. But what if I don't know how to do those? Do I need to take the time to learn, et cetera? And that's where a white label partner can come in. So I'm happy to have these two on to talk about their experiences with white label. They've been doing this for a very long time now, and they have a lot of great resources that they're going to cover today. So why don't you guys take it away?
Cool, thanks. Appreciate that tee up there. So I'm just going to share my screen here real quick, and we'll kind of go through our quick little presentation. Hopefully you guys see a lot of value from this, not just us, trying to pitch or position ourselves as the solution, right? As Chase said, they have a solution as white label providers as well. It's just how we think you should vet them as we kind of go through it. So who are we, right? So I'm Michael, she's Brittany. I founded 51Blocks back in 2009. I turned it into a white label solution about 2014 because I'm not very good at sales, to be honest, right? So that's why we turned into a white label solution, and having agencies partner with us, and we're really good at fulfillment and executing that work. I have run this agency for about 10 years now, and have launched a new product called Bionic WP, which is a hyper-optimized hosting solution. It gets 90 plus on GT metrics, things like that. That's kind of where I'm focusing, and Brittany's actually going to take over this agency in the next couple of years. Recently had a successful exit of a company that recently grew from 0 to 3 million to 8 million in 3 years. Not a huge portion of that company, but still was part of it enough that I still have to keep working. But Brittany, you're the person that's gonna be the eyes and the ears of everyone going forward here. So why don't you kind of tell us who you are?
Yeah, well, I'm the COO currently. I actually meet most people that come through our doors. So I'm also in the sales space. I introduce our partners to our processes, our procedures. I'm very, very transparent when they meet us. I really want to make people feel comfortable. This is a big decision when you choose the white label with someone you're trusting somebody else with your clients, which is huge. It's your reputation. So we take a lot of time to nurture our partners, and I'm a big part of that process. I also lead the team, so I kind of carry dual roles here, but that is currently where I sit at this agency.
She does everything. Let's not sell short. All right. So what is traditional white labeling, right? It's white labeling refers to selling a solution that's branded, that's used with your own branding, right? And that's really what we do. And Brittany, why don't you just kind of jump in, since this is your area of what you kind of talk about, and how, why they should consider it, and kind of our team structure, which you kind of see over here on the other
side. So white labeling, I think in the traditional sense, how people think of it is you outsource it, it goes somewhere where you don't see it, it gets fulfilled, and you just update your client when things are done. We've kind of taken a standard traditional model and changed it where we're in front of your clients, where we end up being your team. So it feels a lot more like you just hired people into your agency, which is really cool. So that's the difference between our model and what a traditional model looks like. I think the biggest thing to consider here is why you want to white label. Is it because you're looking for time freedom, or are you looking for a way to mark up your services and get a bigger, chunk of cash for you, and you didn't have to do a bunch of the work? It just depends on what your goals are with white labeling, and then what model will fit you the best. If you already have an established agency, it might look a little different than this. This is a really great turnkey option, though, that we've found across most agencies. So we can talk about that a little bit after this, I believe.
Cool. And just the team structure is, hey, you guys are the gray, we're the blue. So that's kind of what you get with all of that at a high level, just from a visual perspective. So the different types of partnerships that are provided, we kind of broke it into 3 different areas of what white labels try to usually provide. It's usually fulfillment only, or it's collaborative. There's some client involvement, or full fulfillment, full management of those clients. So Brittany, jump in each of these areas.
This is what I was kind of touching on. Bigger agencies, they're established, they have processes, procedures, and account managers. They typically come to us for fulfillment only, or that's where you would find the most common old school white label partnership happening. For collaborative, this is where we find a lot of our newer agency owners. They already have maybe 10 clients. So they're still in the mix. They still want to touch their clients and be a part of it and really keep tabs on things. And so they actually work with us in our agency, where they join the calls. They want to know what's going on in the strategy. They get the email notifications when things are done. That's what we consider a collaborative partnership. Full management, which is probably the most appealing to people when they understand that we exist. We're an actual model that does this. They just sell. I mean, this is kind of this is the easiest option when it comes to white labeling. Your job would be to just prospect, sell, close. We take it from onboarding all the way through the regular day-to-day management with clients, and it's all done under your brand name. So our systems allow us to, at its most foundational level, be a full management option. Our white labels actually come to us, get introduced to that, and then we tailor it back from there depending on what level they're at and what their needs are.
And the full management includes, as Brittany mentioned, even a shared inbox, right? That is support@yourdomain.com. And we respond as if we're you, directly to your clients, so they don't feel any type of difference. So one of the things we always kind of like to position people is like interviewing possible partners. Like, what are the best questions to ask? And I don't need to read each of these questions for you, but these are some of the questions that you need to be asking. Like, what does communication look like? How do you want to be communicated with? Do you want client directly communication with them or not? And this just overall, the quality of successful partnerships, right? So whether that just be just like the collaboration of the whole process, leveraging our systems to communicate with your clients, to provide them the best value, or us doing that, you being on the phone with us, you hearing how we position that stuff. Brittany, is there anything you kind of want to add to that?
Well, it's a relationship. So just think of it like that. When people come to us, I try and understand what they're looking for and if they've looked around for other solutions. I don't think there's a one size fits all when it comes to white labeling. I think you have to understand what's most important to you and what's going to help you scale, what's going to help you in the long run, and go with the best fit. I've learned this in the process of being in the sales seat for so long, and for the last couple of years, just listening to people who are starting from nothing and ground zero, and they're trying to get out of their day job and go into being a digital marketing agency, all the way to the partners we have who are bigger than us, and trying to just understand what it is. So when we came up with these questions, we felt like they really revolved around the qualities of a really good partnership and what matters the most to people like Michael and I. When we go into relationships with our partners, we look at these as core values, and do our partners carry these core values with us? And I think that's how you have to analyze. It's not just a transaction. It should really be what is in the best interest of my client and my own goals, and just go from there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important. So back when I used to run a marketing agency, a few years in, we got really good with our dev team, right? We built out this great dev team, and we were cranking out really awesome websites. And we were like, why don't we just open up a white label fulfillment center for people who need websites? And we jumped sort of headfirst into it. And man, did we learn a lesson the hard way, which was we weren't on the same page with these other people. And so they would be promising things like endless revisions and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, did we give you that impression that we would do that? And like, there was just this huge mismatch in communication. And I feel like you guys have clearly way more buttoned up and have this all prepared so that you guys do enter every project on the same page.
Right. And I think we're not without our own trials, right? We've gone through this too. We scaled really quickly over the summer and learned kind of where we needed to improve as well. But one of the biggest resources that we provide to the partners that we have is how to sell our products. I mean, they have to be really clear on those expectations. This isn't, if we say it's one thing and they say it's another, there's going to be like instant friction there. So I think your white label partners should also provide you with enough support, which is why we provide sales support. It's me hopping on the phone and walking people through the process, just like I would a white label partner. We do that to alleviate the friction that there might be as you're closing a deal. And I think it makes a huge difference when you finally go into the fulfillment side.
And I think expectations, I think that's the biggest thing in life, right? If you think of your significant other, whenever your expectations aren't lined up of whatever that day is going to be, or that date, or that night, or whatever, then people get upset. They miss the mark, right? But when expectations are set properly, people have a much longer engagement with whatever they're doing. And that's what we really try to focus on is setting those expectations properly up front. And we're not the answer for everybody. We don't do some things that people think you have to do. Well, we don't believe we have to do those things, right? And that's just our belief and what we've learned over the 10, 12 years I've done this. So we have some additional free assets that I'll give to Chase to put into the update when you guys get this, so you guys will be able to see these free tools that we have there. One of the things to talking to this is the case study of positioning, right? And that's what we found. And this gets to the longevity that Chase was kind of talking about, is that when we're client facing with clients, they stay longer, much longer, as you can see in the graph. When we're non-client facing, it's much shorter. And that's because we're the expert in the room when we talk to these things, because it's our system, our process. We do SEO every day. If you're coming from doing Facebook ads and you don't do SEO and you're trying to talk to somebody that, about SEO that you don't necessarily do the ins and outs of, you can start to feel that happen, right? And it's not just results. It's got to be the presentation showing the value month after month and all of those things. Brittany, anything you want to add there? Or Chase?
No, I mean, this was a cool little research project I did a couple of years ago now, where I just collected 100 of our partnerships, how we were positioned and what the outcome was with those clients. And it was just so clear to us that even if you don't want your white label to be client facing, put your best people in front of your clients. It is the best retention tool that you have. Is to show value consistently through education, through transparent systems and processes, so the client can understand what they're paying for. So that's kind of how we developed this whole little chart here, and why we believe so strongly in having the right people in front of your clients.
Cool. So just some of the benefits and pros and cons, right? Because for every, I think, relationship or partnership, there are pros and cons to each. Whether it's me married to my wife, there's pros and cons to all of that, right? So we'll see if she agrees with that when she sees this. But anyways, the benefits of a partnership, you have some pros. You get time freedom, as Brittany mentioned. I think the biggest thing is hopefully you have less stress, right? Unless you want a hairline like mine, right? Then you can continue to help management with clients. But I think when you hand that off and you can focus on what you're really good at, if that's, helping on Facebook ads or driving sales or whatever it might be, then having somebody else focus on those other things helps reduce your stress overall. Brittany, anything you want to add?
I think you hit on them all. I mean, some people don't like to manage people. I love managing people. I find that really kind of fuels my fire to be able to lead a team. So you have to weigh your options and, do you struggle with managing people? So do you want to go out and hire a whole team? Are there enough people in the right seats? We practice EOS here. So we identify the right people in the right seats and what their roles are. So we've really kind of honed in and done a really good job on the internal processes side, so that we can serve other agencies who don't have their ducks in a row. They just basically sign on and borrow ours, which is kind of the whole idea.
And I think one of the things is the cons, somebody that may want a ton of control, probably not the best thing for you to do, because whether you work with us or Van Daster or the Hoff, they have their own systems and processes. You won't be able to change those systems and processes to your execution level, so that's something you got to think about. There's a possibility of less profits, depending on how you're executing and outsourcing the work. But with a full team comes issues on that, just like with just management of employees or just all of it, right? If you've ever owned an agency, that digital marketing has somewhat higher turnover rate inside of each agency. People get burnt out, do different things, want to learn different things. So those types of things can happen in that space as well. I just think it's interesting to think about, like, it's cool to say you have a team, right? I have this many people working for you, just like it's cool to say you have an office. But at the end of the day, is it really that cool? Like, wouldn't you rather have more money or less stress in your pockets? And that's what I've kind of figured out as we've gone through this, and why my team's 100% remote, because it's not that cool to have an office for me. It's not that, oh, that's my office. Okay, well,
it's great. Definitely way more challenging than people think to build a team, especially in the beginning, when, like this chart kind of outlines, to complete a project, you really only need a piece of a couple of experts' time. So when you're just getting started, you can't afford to hire those people full-time. You just need a piece of their time. So now you're managing all these freelancers as opposed to working with a partner who does have the full-time staff, and it's just a pre-existing process that the project flows through.
And I think that's a great point. And even like as we get to bigger agencies, like Brittany said, agencies that are even bigger than we are, they outsource us just for their little section of what they want us to do, just for execution of this, right? And they're kind of siloing us as well. So there's a number of different ways you can use a team that is a white label partner. And some people are like, okay, let me see what the pricing breakdown looks like or whatever. Brittany, you always talk through this since you do a lot of the sales conversations. So go ahead.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You want to develop packages. Let's say you already do Facebook ads, then you're going to keep that in-house. Look at the cost of adding on SEO and then double the pricing that you're about to pay that vendor. And that way you can make your money. And then they obviously have enough to fulfill the campaign. Now you should look at what your fee structure is going to be with your white label partners. So we're a white label partner that doesn't charge a partnership fee. So when people come to us, they're able to look at our pricing and know exactly how much it's going to cost them. All of our services are, like customer service wise, those things just come with the cost of managing a campaign. So when you go elsewhere, if they have a monthly fee just to be a part of it, that's something you should consider, especially if you don't have a client that signs on for that or they cancel. Now you have this fee, right? So just keep in mind what you're about to walk into, and then understand how much you need to charge in order to make a profit for yourself. Michael and I have always recommended that you don't go too crazy on the products where you're trying to show an ROI. So we always recommend doubling pricing so that it's easier for you to show an ROI from services that like SEO, something like that. When it comes to websites or any of the other services, like even HighLevel that we have here, you can mark that up for what you want because it's based on value. It's kind of subjective. So it's not as easy for a client to be like, I invested this, I got this many leads, and then it ended up with this, right? So that's kind of how we look at the breakdown of it, how you can combine it. If you sell packages, you can bundle it all into one thing and then mark the whole thing up. It's kind of up to you on how you think that's going to work for your agency.
That's an important point. And I feel like it reiterates what we were talking about in the beginning, which is if you are only offering lead gen, it always boils down to those exact numbers. I gave you this, I got this many leads, I only sold this many people. Therefore, the ROI of this is not sustainable for me. And so the idea is to get out of just that lead gen and start providing services that are higher value, that it's not so laser focused like that, of where, they can just make a quick call. We're like, oh, I gave you this much money and I didn't get it back. And so again, I strongly encourage people, if you all you do is offer lead gen, you got to start thinking of ways to offer more services. And so go ahead.
And I think to your point, there's things like the website that you can mark up a ton, right? There's huge margins in that. What's the difference between $1,000 website and a $5,000 website? People really can't point to what it is. It's who you usually selected to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And same with HighLevel, like CRM solutions, good. I mean, there's very expensive ones out there. Yeah,
You put the
right.
web chat on your site and leads start popping up every day. It's like no one's ever going to complain about that. You know what I mean?
And then some of these things aren't necessarily tangible. Like we just had somebody talk about, well, I want to know what the ROI is on review management. Well, you can't tell me what the ROI. I can't even tell you what the ROI is. I generated you 10 more leads. What did that do? I don't know. I can't tell you it generated you $50 more or $1,000 or $10,000 more, but I do know it's something you have to do to help your brand reputation in the market. And does it help with Google rankings? Absolutely, right? But it's more than just that, right? It's supposed to do more than just that. So that's kind of the services of kind of how we think about breaking down those things. So, Brittany, I'll let you kind of take these next 2 slides and talk to them. So.
Yeah, so this is our experience with HighLevel. So we offer setup for agencies and setup for the agency's clients in HighLevel in that solution. So what we provide is a way to quickly get a client ramped up. HighLevel, as we've walked through it before, it's kind of technical. And one of the biggest pain points from a lot of startup agencies or people who really haven't been in that space before is that there's just a lot to do. There's a lot to understand, and getting all the sequences set up and making sure they have enough going on for the snapshots. And do I write them? Do you have them? Like tons of questions swirl around this. But this particular product is what we consider sticky, right? That's the value add. It's super cool for a small business owner who doesn't have a CRM that they're working in for their sales pipeline, needs something to manage leads, gives our agency owners a way to actually have better visibility as well. And we'll talk about benefits, I know in the next slide, but this is what we actually offer at our agency to just assist in the setup for HighLevel, because we think that it's a great product for a small business owner. It's easy to work in, but there's a lot of setup in the initial stages, and trying to take that on yourself can sometimes not be worth the amount of time you tried to figure it out versus just paying an agency like ours to fulfill it for you, get your client set up.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we have some packages as well. We're part of a group that allows you to leverage some of the sequencing that you may need. We can definitely talk about some of those at the end or whatever, but it's something that's a part of the option as well. The snapshots that are offered that we're able to leverage and use. So some of the benefits.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like we have to sell HighLevel to this group.
I was going to say, I think
like
for itself.
Everyone kind of knows, right? So
yeah.
I think people do know the benefits of using a white label. If your white label offers it, we do at our agency, the client management side. So we actually provide a dedicated account manager using that shared inbox that we talked a little bit about on how we white label our services in general to be client facing. Your clients can email in and say, hey, I got a new sales guy. They don't know how to use the system. Can you sit on a call with them and walk them through what to do? So we provide things like that. Or, hey, we have an edit. Can you add this to the sequence or something of that nature? So having someone that's on your team who is going to manage everything in HighLevel, having a HighLevel expert is important, I think, when you're going to sell it as a product, because you don't want to be sitting there at the end of your day trying to figure all of this out when the client comes to you and has a question or says, hey, this isn't working, and you're trying to troubleshoot. So we charge a really low fee just to have that support outside of the one-time setup that we do. Also things like Twilio and Mailgun. We've had partners who have clients who they barely know how to turn their computers on, it would seem. So we help with the setup of the actual accounts and kind of walking them through those motions, because they need to own those to get set up in there.
Nice. That's great. Especially if you're a young agency entrepreneur, you've just found HighLevel, you're going through the learning curve. It's always good to have an easy out.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Yeah. Cool.
And then some of the other things we just like to provide, like the value that we mentioned, is just some tools that you guys can use that we've found in our agency to be very effective. Obviously, we use HighLevel. Something you want to use for project management, we mentioned, we leverage Monday.com with the automations that you can do there. We use Front as our shared inbox. If you guys don't know about Front, it's a pretty cool commenting tool, internal team, but I can also send emails. We have our own custom built reporting solution. Obviously, if you're doing SEO, Surfer SEO. If you're not doing SEO, you should learn Surfer SEO. It's that good of a tool. It's it's an amazing solution there. And Slack, I think everybody, if you haven't been hiding under a rock, knows what that is. Yodel, which is a lot of people don't know, is an integration into Slack that can be your phone system that your entire team can answer from. It's pretty cost effective, and that's why we mentioned it there. And similar to Slack is Canva, right? That's obviously come on pretty strong recently in that space as well. Just some of our services quickly. Like I said, I don't want this to be a pitch event or anything, but we do fulfillment. We also do, talk to your clients as well. So client facing, very focused on ROI for SEO. I've been doing SEO since 2000, helped rank the keyword mortgage for Mortgage 101 on the first page. That company got sold. Unfortunately, I wasn't part of that company when it got sold, but that taught me about keywords that are important, right? We ranked for mortgage, got 1 million uniques a month. We wanted to rank for mortgage rates. That's the buying keyword, right? So you think about those things in that space, and all of these things throughout. We have authoritative websites. It's a low monthly fee. It's like $75 a month. You can have a website. We know people that upsell that for $250 a month, right? And that's something that you can just sell, and that's something that's sticky, just like HighLevel is, because obviously you need a website as well. So they're all together. And then the hyper optimized hosting, stuff like that. Here's the resources that we'll give to all you.
I'll put those in the links down below.
Cool. Awesome. Partner training. This is if you don't know how to sell any of these services. We have a whole, I think somebody said 16 hours. They watched all of our videos. I feel bad for them if they did that, but they did. And they watched the whole training center, and that's what's all in there. How to sell SEO, how to think about how we think about it, and how to position yourself in those spaces. And then some more free tools on that. And then here's the offer at the end, just a free white label book. You guys can go get it. Download it, and it's something that just how to scale your agency for the most part. But Chase, anything else you kind of want us to hit on or talk about?
I just wanted to hammer home the point of white labeling SEO. I think it's probably the best example outside of a website of something that's super sticky, right? Because first of all, don't try to sell SEO if you don't know what you're talking about. But if you can find a partner who does, it's one of the best sticky services to sell, because again, as long as the expectations are aligned, your client is signing up for a long-term process. Like when you sell SEO well and everybody's on the same page, the client does not think, okay, in 30 days, I'm going to make a call of whether or not I'm going to pay you again. They're like, okay, 6 months from now, I'll make the call as to whether or not I want to keep paying you, right? Minimum. And so, if you are not selling SEO, I would highly encourage finding a partner, whether it's 51Blocks or somebody else, who can do that for you, because you will definitely see your client retention rates go up.
And I think to that point, if a lot of people are running ads and somebody says, well, I want immediate results. Cool, we have this solution. Well, okay, what about the long term? Are we going to be able to scale that? Whatever. Well, I have these other things too. SEO. We always say it takes 6 to 9 months. And year over year, we see 20 to 40% growth. If they're not on board that, we're not the right partner for them. We don't want to constantly have that conversation. And that's where Chase talking about selling it properly really comes into play. Like if in 45 days, somebody's coming back and telling me, hey, why am I not ranking on the first page? That wasn't sold properly, right? And we know that. So then we have to adjust those conversations and have it, or say, hey, this partnership's not going to work because this is a long-term type of play. And you have to be okay doing that. And it helps level set those things. I think the other sticky thing is, like I said, that website, the authoritative website, because now, and you can have 30 minutes of unlimited edits. They're sending in things, we're making adjustments for them, which then obviously you're integrating HighLevel with that, which now the whole package becomes more sticky, and they're doing all of that for whatever, $500 a month or whatever, $400. That's pretty legit. If you can have a website, a CRM, and maybe some paid ads or SEO on top of that for, under $750, you're looking, I think, at a pretty good solution. Can you show your value for $8,000 a year? I would hope so. You can generate enough. I know I can. I know we can. Right.
Well, selling value is interesting. So that's the one thing I wanted to loop back around. So you guys said that you will actually help people sell, right? You'll hop on sales calls.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting opportunity for, again, a young agency entrepreneur who may not be great at sales or is just new to it, to be able to ride along on those calls and learn how to sell these services from somebody, a seasoned veteran. I think that's pretty valuable in itself.
Yeah. And I think it helps us understand where they may need a little bit more support as well, so that we can provide them with case studies, right? That's something we provide our partners with, that we let them swipe our case studies. So I can
That's
usually
huge.
tell, yeah, with the newer ones especially, or if they have no experience in SEO, right? We'll just go with that scenario. We have a ton of case studies in SEO, and it's by niche. So hopefully we'd have something in their space. We have a lot of clients in that space too, so we're always trying to develop more. But it lets them borrow our authority, which I think is really huge for them. And then when I step into a sales call and I'm like, hey, we're going to set you up in this transparent system, and I do the whole Vanna White thing around our agency, but I'm their person, I'm their ops person. It really helps it feel like they don't feel as nervous, I think, which is good as the person who's trying to play this off as their product. And they're able to, I think, nurture this lead a lot better with borrowed authority, with using our case studies, with having a really great sales call with me on it. Usually we do, we're pretty successful at that, helping people close deals that way, where I'm just educating. I'm not really doing much. I'm not a salesperson by any means. But there's something about having a partner on the phone, I think, that really, it just makes it so much more supportive in the relationship itself.
Absolutely. So another question that popped up that I'm sure some people are wondering is, do you work with any of your partners in a looser white label where they might be like, you know what, I don't want to pretend this is mine. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'd rather say you guys are my partner or my whatever. Do you work with people like that as well?
We do that. Yeah. I think we have every one of our white label partnerships looks a little bit different than the next. So we definitely have partners who are very open about the fact that this is a team I'm working with. We've had partners who even say this is 51Blocks. This is going to be the team that you're working with. We collaborate together. It's totally up to the partner's discretion on where they feel comfortable. Some people just don't. Some people worry that if we make a mistake and it hurts their reputation, they just don't even want to bother stepping into that space because it's always going to be a concern.
Yeah, we have a solution now. Actually, we're launching. Talk to us tomorrow, and we'll have it live. Is where you can just send, like, pretty much be like, hey, here's a lead, Michael and Brittany. If you close it, do I get paid? Yes, you get paid for the lifetime of the deal. You're with us, right? And we do the nurturing, we do the closing, we do the fulfillment, onboarding, billing, all of that on your behalf. So if it's not something you want to get involved with, you're like, hey, I got this bank of clients. I think they need SEO. Let me just refer them to you, and you guys do the selling. You can go to our other label that we're going to have as our more client facing. That's going to allow for more margins to be paid to the partners.
Right. So just more of like an affiliate partnership.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'll take this opportunity to point out, or at least maybe plant the seed, as we move forward with SaaS mode of HighLevel, making it even easier for people to resell the software as their own software. I have a lot of conversations with people where I'm like, especially if you're young in this journey, hey, it might be smarter for you to position yourself like the general contractor, right? Like if you're paying to have a building built, you're paying a general contractor and you trust him to go find the people to do the specifics. Find me a great electrician, find me a great block guy, find me da-da-da. And if one of those doesn't work out, I don't fire my general contractor. He fires that person and replaces them. And so I think you can do really great business with a partner like 51Blocks, totally transparently, and saying, as long as you earn the trust, and oftentimes I feel like you can do that with the sale of the software, right? You trust the people who set up your CRM, your most important software. And once you establish that trust, well, then you can bring people in and out of the scene. And it's a great transparent way to operate. So I like the different options. It's cool that you guys work with people in different manners and it's not totally concrete, the model.
Yeah. It's important to remain flexible. I think we've learned that over time. And like I said, everybody needs something a little bit different, just like your clients. They're going to need a little bit something tailored to them.
That's like, even our SEO campaigns are built that way. Every plan is custom. We have a 60-40 split. Every site usually needs this 60%. The other 40% is all custom to their solution, right, to their own personal client. So it's never going to be the same thing for everybody. While it's kind of a pain on my side to scale, it seems to get the best results, honestly, for the clients. And Chase, to your point, for us, it's transparency, communication, and honesty, right? Those are the things that we really try to, like, if you come to me and say you want to rank for the keyword mortgage, I'll be like, cool, how much money you got? How much time you got, right? It's going to take some time. Like, we have one partner that, went from 100,000 to 2.1 million, and he built 80 microsites. and we over 5 years, and now I'm not even really working with him anymore. It's on autopilot now. It just kind of generates the leads for him and stuff. So
Nice.
Lots of different ways around it. So.
Well, so I'm going to put the links to we'll put the links to those resources below the video everywhere it gets posted. But if somebody just wants to get in contact with you guys, is it 51blocks.com? Is that the URL?
Yep.
Correct. Yep. And you can just email Brittany at 51blocks.com and she'll get it, or you can email me and I'll forward your email to Brittany because she's the one that talks to everybody. As she said, she's a people person. I'm more system and process, and that's how we work together. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, guys, and talking to us about white label. And
thanks for having us.
I think a lot of people are going to be excited about whether or not they go with you guys or whoever they go with, just the idea in general of finding a white label partner to help them sort of shortcut themselves to success.
Exactly. And help them scale quickly. Thanks, Jason.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
No, thanks you guys. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.